Hello everybody and welcome to our last Facebook Live event. We have, this evening we've got our entire, all of our candidates for the Town Council. I'm really excited to have us all together in one place. As you guys probably know, the election is in only 12 days and you're probably as happy as we are that this is going to be over soon. We can get rid of the signs, we can get rid of everything, all the mailers and everything. Special, as you know, probably this year, we have early voting for the very first time. Early voting starts on October 26th, just 2 days from now, at Town Hall, and you can vote between October 26th and November 3rd in the new building. You can even vote on the weekends. So I think this will be very interesting to see how much the turnout is affected by that. As a plus, if you early vote, you will avoid candidates ambushing you outside the voting places, and I think that's probably a good thing for everybody.
I think so.
Yeah.
Great.
So we have, as I'm sure you know everybody, but I'll just introduce them. We have Susan Kims, who is one of our candidates for the 4-year council position. We have Jeff Pekarik, who is the other candidate for the 4-year position. And as you probably know, you get to vote for 2 people. So you can vote for both Sue and for Jeff. And then we have Brendan Najum, who's running for our 2-year council position, and that's, you just vote for one person. So he's got one opponent, and of course, you vote for Brendan. We appreciate that. And then you got me, Gary Dickson, for supervisor. So I thought what we do today is, we would all talk about one thing, give one example of how we feel that we've contributed to the life of the town, specifically to the town government. And I think today we could start with Brendan, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. I'm most proud of my civic engagement in the community. All of my involvement in the community groups over the years. It's really been fulfilling. It's been fun for me, and I'm giving back. And growing up, I always said I wanted to provide other people in West Seneca with the same opportunities that I had growing up. So I got to enjoy Boy Scouts, and then I saw life on the other side as a Scoutmaster. I got to enjoy Key Club, and then as a Kiwanis advisor, I helped chaperone students from the West Seneca Central Schools to trips to Albany. I've got to enjoy all kinds of activities with all those organizations, and it's just been a blast giving back to the community and seeing students enjoy the same opportunities I got to enjoy growing up here in West Seneca. And we have to maintain that and exceed that going forward. We need to make sure that West Seneca stays a great place to raise your family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, outstanding. Jeff, you want to?
Sure. One of the things here, I started on a board meetings a few years ago, like a lot of residents, when we got tired of what was going on. And one of the deficiencies I saw in our town government, I disagreed with the current board members, but I felt that the current structure of the board gave too much power to the town supervisor. If you had an amazing town supervisor, I guess that might not have been as big of an issue. But in our lifetimes, you're going to have some good and some bad. So I got involved with the ballot referendum, which was struggling at that point to get on the ballot in about August of last year. And I collected about 540 signatures out of the 920 or so we turned in to get on the ballot. And then once we got on the ballot, I helped campaign hard to help pass it in November. And the voters, I guess, agreed with me because it was about 62% was actually the margin. And to me, I'm very proud of that because to me it shows what citizens can do, not just me, but others that helped as well, including some of the people at this table. When we work together and we go out and we take action. This board currently is going to get better, bigger to 5. We get to pick the right people, but the structure will be better alone. It will hold much more of a check and a balance on the supervisor, whoever it is.
Yeah, and of course that was the referendum for the upsizing of the town board. And literally that would not have happened. That referendum would not have happened without us and particularly without Jeff. We were the ones that got the signatures, us and other people, as well as then we campaigned for it. And some of us stood outside the polling places a year ago to talk to people about why we thought upsizing of the town board was a good idea. And it worked. Like Jeff said, it passed overwhelmingly. Sue, you want to go next?
Sure. My story goes back a few years ago. Over 10 years ago, I started going to town board meetings, and during that time, we had the issue of the Seneca Mall development come up.
Mm-hmm.
The town board had decided that they would do a study to find out if it was worth going into a partnership with the owner, Mr. Control. The first study cost us around $30,000. The board was not willing to release that to the public, so I started with the FOIL process. Still, I was denied 3 times. Eventually, we did do a second study. The first study cost us around $30,000. The second one was around $54,000. At the end of that, when we had that result, the board would not share their findings. Again, went through the FOIA process, denied over and over. And again, at the end, I filed another FOIA along with Buffalo News. At that point, they decided they would, excuse me, share that information. And so we went into a public forum with questions from the public, and eventually the board did let go of that proposal. But initially, had I not pressed, I think they would not have, the second time, followed through and released it. So.
And I think that's a great example of how persistent Sue is in fighting for really our rights. We're the taxpayers. We're the ones that paid for those studies. The decision of the town board to participate or not participate in that project for the Seneca Mall site would have involved potentially a lot of our money, and we have a right to know. And this is an example of, Sue has so many examples over her 10 years of fighting for good government and for openness and for information, and really the whole town owes her, as well as the people that she worked with for a long time. Sue's not alone. None of us is alone. We're all part of a team, and they, the whole town really owes them, a big thank you for keeping the fight against, against secrecy and active. And in case you're wondering, you probably remember those studies and the issue way back when. The owner of the Seneca Mall site had this very large plan that would have involved the town spending tens of millions of dollars in bond money. And I think that the town board rightfully took the decision that no, this is your land, this is your investment. It's for you, and the town doesn't have that kind of money, and nor should we. It's not really our job. That's not to say we're not going to try to find the right fit for the Seneca Mall site and all the other sites in the town, but it has to be right for West Seneca, and it has to be, for us, has to be affordable. So the example that I give is it's maybe a little more simple, but I was particularly proud of it because it illustrated what a person who's not part of the town government yet has a good knowledge of the way the town government works and the budget can have an impact. You may have read in the Sun and the Bee several months ago the issue of the external auditor. So the town has a CPA company that has helped us with various issues in the town, and then there was always a second company that does the audit of the town. So it's kind of common sense that the auditor needs to be independent of the other company that is doing work for the town. So when I knew that the town had put out some requests for proposals for auditing a new external auditor, and once I heard that it had been awarded to a CPA firm that was already doing work for us, in other words, there seemed to be a conflict of interest, I sent in a Freedom of Information request, like Sue was talking about, and got all the bids. And I discovered that the company that was awarded the bid was the highest bidder. And that company had done work for us just less than a year before. So to me, there was both a cost issue, and then there was a potential conflict of interest issue. So, but not being a CPA, I thought, well, maybe I don't quite understand how this works. So I contacted a friend of mine who is a CPA and has done work on ethics committees for the CPA board, and asked him, I said, does this seem odd to you? And Ray said, well, it could be, yeah. So on his own, he called up that CPA firm and expressed his concerns. And they said, well, if you put it that way, yeah, there is an appearance, potential appearance of a conflict of interest. And before you know it, they had sent a letter to the town and resigned. And then there was, so the town then selected the next bidder, and then they'll probably have to rebid for the rest of the contract soon. So I was able to do this because I'm very familiar with who's doing work for the town, especially in that area, because I've read most of the external audits for the last 10 or 15 years. I'm aware of who the other firm that did work for us and that they have for years. And I had a good sense of ethics, like what could a conflict of interest be? So and that's why I raised it. The articles were in the, like I said, the Sun and the News, or the Bee. So this is an example of how an outsider who can save money for the town. Now it's not a huge amount of money; it's about maybe $5,000 a year, but it's still saving money. But to my mind, and more important, it prevented a conflict of interest, which I think this town has seen lots of conflict of interest, and I think we need to work on. And finally, this is an example of, as outsiders, we are looking at what's going on very closely, and we're very detail oriented, and we know what we're talking about. So once you get us into office, we are going to carry on that level of diligence, that level of knowledge, and that level of looking after every penny for the taxpayer for your benefit. But this time we'll be able to do it from inside the town, and we'll have access to all the data. So I think it's really going to be a good thing once we get in.
Absolutely. I think having served almost 2 full years on the planning board, our advocacy put together on town issues, working in town hall, none of us are strangers to the town hall environment. People all the time say, oh, experience matters. We have that real world experience working with town government. We have the experience necessary to take West Seneca forward, begin to heal the town, and work with this town government and really make it work for the taxpayer. I'm really excited for what our slate brings to the table. We all have different kinds of experience. We've all done different things in the past, but none of us are strangers to town hall. No one can say any one of our candidates has never stepped foot in town hall. That would not be true. We have been very, very active working in our community, working in town hall. We're extremely familiar with the government process, with the rules and regulations. We're ready to go. So I think it's really exciting that we offer taxpayers the opportunity to pick someone to represent them from their own ranks, but who also has the experience it takes to operate town government.
Right, and we're not asking you to take our word at face value, to simply trust us. But you could, because what we say is what we mean. But you can look in our backgrounds and see if we have, let's say, walked the walk. Up to now, have we been fighting for the taxpayer? Have we been serving our country? Have we been dedicated public servants? And everybody who's running on our side can say that. I mean, Sue Kim's, when there's an issue with something that happened, with a development that was, 10 or 15 years ago, I asked Sue, what happened? What was the situation with that? And she says, let me look in my notes. And she'll go back and she'll say, this is what happened and this is why. I mean, Sue is very impressive. And Jeff's work ethic is second to none. 500 signatures on that petition, which was that half of them, or more than half?
The majority of them, actually. Yeah.
For the upsizing, I mean, is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And then of course Brendan, for his age, I would have thought he started working for the town before he was born. I mean, he knows so much. So I think we have a really great team. And I know we have a question, but does anybody else want to speak up?
I would hope when we are in office that we could be more responsive to the residents of the town, to involve them more, to give them more of a say in what we're doing. That would be something that really want to push.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with Sue, and I would also add to be a little more respectful to the residents too. There's been too many times at board meetings where board members have gotten a little too heated at residents, and many times the resident may have been going at them a little bit, but they're still your customer, so to speak. That's who you're elected to serve. need to be respectful to them too. And I think our team would do that.
Yeah, and we have to look at things and be more empathetic towards the taxpayer. I mean, not only are they footing the bill for everything we do,
Correct.
but they're also
It's been a high bill lately too.
right. And whatever they're coming to our town board with, it's probably affecting their quality of life. So we need to be understanding, and I think we all bring that kind of empathetic attitude towards our work here. So
Absolutely.
it's really important, and we can't discount the feeling that people will have with us in government compared to the past regimes.
And just to put a final word on that, we say we're going to be open. How do you know we're going to be open? Look what we're doing right now. We're not in office. All of us are easily, you can contact us on Facebook. We give you our phone numbers. I've received dozens and dozens of phone calls from people. You know, we answer people's questions on Facebook. We are open. So don't just trust us when we say we're going to be open. We are open now. Let's go to the question.
Yep, we got a question from Joe. He's asking if there's any new development with the Birchfield Park building.
Oh, wow.
Anybody want to take that, or?
Well, I really think that the current town board is probably stalling on this issue and looking for the next town board to really take the lead on Birchfield, which I think we're all prepared to do. We've attended many of the meetings, we've learned so much about Birchfield, and once we finally get into town government, we can really sink our teeth into the numbers and do a deep dive on what is really happening with the Birchfield project. And it's definitely something that I'd like to see a solution to. I know for me personally, I did my Eagle project in Boy Scouts at the Birchfield Park. So it's a building that's been near and dear to me. It was in my neighborhood. It's close to me. So it's an issue I definitely care about, but it's something where we need to do a deep dive and find out exactly what the issues are there, what the costs are, and see what's feasible moving forward.
I believe we might be able to obtain some grants as well, both from state and federal government as well as nonprofits, if we work at it.
Absolutely.
I really do believe that there is a solution to rebuild that building or at least fix it up
Sure.
so it's usable again.
You know, the Birchfield has been a destination in our town. We don't have a lot of them at this point, hopefully more in the future. But the Birchfield definitely does give outsiders a reason to come into our town, visit, and spend their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not at all convinced that the estimate that the town has given us is the final number. Is very high, but you know, this is an example of you don't really know what the true issues are and what the estimates are even for the repairs until you get in. There are all sorts of, you know, there's all sorts of details that get glossed over when they just say, oh, it's going to cost $500,000. Well, that's too much. The town is not going to pay that. But as Jeff said, we're going to explore every option for alternative funding, as well as we want to look to see what work that the town itself, the town workers can do. But I think we all share the same goal and that's to get the building back online. We just want to make sure that it's affordable and that we get our dollars worth.
We got one more from Candy. She's wondering how, she wants to know how you will curtain tax increases.
How what?
How you will
Curtail,
curtain
maybe?
tax
Oh,
increases.
curtail?
Curtail. Yes, I think she
Okay.
Did I misread or she mistyped?
Okay, that's fine. So
I did.
the longest term, the best way to control taxes is for economic development. And if you're on Facebook, you've probably seen my video about that. Or you can go to my Facebook page and you can view it, or go to YouTube, or you can also view it there. The great thing about economic development is that it not only cuts the town taxes, it cuts the school taxes, and it cuts the county taxes. Basically, almost every tax that you pay in your property tax bill is reduced by economic development, because it increases the entire assessed value of the town. Then your little piece of it gets smaller and smaller. That's the long-term way. There are small places that can be developed. The biggest place is, of course, the Seneca Mall, and we are going to work as hard as humanly possible to come up with a solution. And I'm going to report to you every month, what have we done about that? So it's not going to slip off the table and become forgotten, and we're not going to pretend it's not there. It's really the number one developmental issue in town. So that's the best thing is economic development. Controlling costs is certainly part of it. Controlling costs only control our town part of the budget, which is about a third of your tax bill. It doesn't affect the school, it doesn't affect the county, but it's still important, and it's important that every single penny that we spend of your money, because it's all your money, is spent wisely. So there's going to be, like centralized purchasing, and all sorts of other issues that, for example, like the external auditor. We have, they're small, but you get enough small things and they add up. So those are some of the things that we're going to take. I mean, basically, every single expense is going to be looked at.
Right, and we can't say West Seneca is open for business and then propose budgets with massive tax increases. That's not feasible. We need to make sure that there's a town government in place that creates an environment where businesses can start and grow and be successful. And I think we all are of the mind that West Seneca will go as far as new businesses and fresh beginnings take us. Mm-hmm. And we understand that. It's important to all of us, and it'll be a focus of the incoming administration. We want to make sure that the rising tide lifts all boats, that the economic development we bring helps lower everybody's taxes. It's very important to us, and we know that a lot of townspeople like the services we offer. They want to make sure that the level of service that they receive is maintained and that their taxes are kept to a reasonable level. We're all committed to doing that.
Yeah, going around town and talking to people, there's one thing that people hate worse than taxes, and that's taxes with decreasing services. Your services are not going to go down. There's not a single person here, or our candidate for the highway department, Brian Adams, none of us are looking to balance the budget by cutting services. We have some of the best services in Western New York. We probably have the best sanitation service in God knows how much of the state. And we're going to keep that. And in fact, we're going to try to enhance some of it, because there have been other services besides recycling. Other services have been lost slowly but surely over the years. For example, tree trimming, or the sidewalks, or even street sweeping, which there's not as much as there used to be. Those are the kind of things that we want to bring back, and we want to save money through economic development and cutting cost of government, but not by cutting services.
Just want to add to, I agree with your points on that, but we got to do, what I say to people is, run your government smarter. Okay, then when I say that, an example being professional service contracts. We need to rebid them more frequently. We need to dump some of these stipends, like the budget officer for the supervisor. If you're elected supervisor, your job is to do the budget. You don't need an extra stipend for it. So small things like that will add up a long way in each department.
And in one of your in your mailer, you talk about multi-year budgeting, right?
Right, which they don't do currently.
Right.
I believe we can do that, multi-year forecasting, so we can start to project where we're going to be not just this year, but 3 years, 5 years down the road. And I think that goes a long way
Right.
towards planning. This board tried to use the excuse in the library that they wouldn't have borrowed the money if they knew we'd be in tough financial shape a couple years later.
Right.
Multi-year forecasting, you would know that before you borrowed the money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking that possibly, instead of self-insuring on some of our insurance, the health insurance, workers' comp, that we might shop that and find a better market and save large amounts of money in those areas.
Yeah, I have a feeling there are lots of issues in the procurement policy, for example, that need to be looked at. Personal service contracts that don't get bid and only reviewed every 5 years. All these things need to be looked at, and there are no sacred cows. We are all independent. We don't owe anything to anybody except to you, the taxpayer. Did we have another question? Okay. Go ahead.
I just wanted to speak a little further to that. Like, I can't wait to get into this town government and really talk to the boots on the ground, the men and women who are working currently for our town government. I bet there's a lot of great ideas in town hall and in town offices and in town trucks right now, and they're just looking for somebody to ask them and talk to them about what they've seen, what they know, where can we save. I can't wait to foster a great relationship with the hardworking men and women who work for our town. That is a really big deal to me. Working in the Erie County Controller's office, I've seen firsthand the benefits of asking people in the office, what can we do to make this office run better? And I think there's a lot of parallels between county government and our town government where we can really engage these employees and come up with solutions that work for them and work for the taxpayer. And I really just cannot wait for the opportunity to really engage these employees.
Mhm.
I think better trainings, like picking up on what you said too, is also a possibility to help as well. So there's some projects now and tasks that we farm out. Could we possibly use town workers on the existing tasks or town equipment that's being underutilized? Things like that. It doesn't sound like it's big, but it adds up and it goes a long way.
Sure does.
Yeah, I've been contacted by white collar employees, by blue collar employees who have ideas about how we can save money. Why do we do some things some way? What efficiencies can we come up with? I think if you're open to input from the employees, these are very smart people. These are people who know their jobs and who have been perhaps frustrated that no one's listened to them before. And we are absolutely open to talk to them and to listen to their ideas, because there is really nothing is off the table. We are certainly going to work with our unions as partners, and everything is on the table as far as I'm concerned.
I think we're lucky in the town of West Seneca. We have a lot of really good employees that really want to work for the town betterment and the residents.
Yeah. How are we doing on time? 4 minutes. One of the things, and I mentioned before, but openness. We have been, if there has been a communications channel to talk to you, we've used it. We go door to door. We talk to you on the phone. We talk to you on email. We talk to you on Facebook. You may have heard of that. The website vote14224.com. Completely the initiative of an interested resident. She sent out emails to all of the candidates and invited every candidate, all of the candidates, all the sides, to answer a questionnaire. All of us did. You can go on the site. It's vote14224.com, and you can see our answers. Why a candidate would not contribute to a way for voter outreach is frankly, I'm dumbfounded. Everything we can do to get information to the voters, to me, is something that we should be doing.
Right. Openness starts right now. It starts with getting to know the candidates who are running, and it's about carrying it forward. So we've been putting into practice how quickly can we respond to constituent questions? How quickly can we respond to the taxpayer? And we've all done a really fantastic job about listening to the needs of our taxpayers. When someone reaches out to us, they get a response from us. I'm really proud of it. I know you guys are too. So we've had a lot of channels with the Facebook, our phone numbers, our personal cell phone numbers being out there, our email addresses that go directly to us. We answer your questions when they come up, and we encourage you to keep sending them. We encourage you to reach out to your public officials, and we look forward to bringing that kind of attitude to Town Hall.
And sometimes, like on Facebook, we get some pretty aggressive questions, but we answer them. Because, I think you have to have a pretty tough skin to be in government. And, if you can't take the tough questions now, when you're not in government, I mean, what are you going to do when you're up, in a town board meeting and there's a citizen who has a tough question? You got to be able to answer them.
I want to pick up on Gary's point, obviously, with the transparency of the citizens, but also to the media, which helps get the information out. The current board, and even some of our opponents on the other side, do not like to sit down for interviews with the press. And, we might have a lot of media in this town, but we do have 2 Seneca papers that cover vigorously. Let's make ourselves available for it. It helps reach a lot of people that might not be on Facebook or can't make it to a board meeting. So it's something as a council, I think all of us, or even Gary as a supervisor, will work to be not only to the residents, but also the media as well.
Definitely.
Candy's asking if you guys could just all identify yourself one last time before you guys sign off.
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Susan Kimms. I'm your four-year candidate for town council.
And I'm Gary Dickson, candidate for supervisor.
And I'm Jeff Bykerek, the other candidate for the 4-year term. I hope to earn your vote on November 5th.
I'm
Or-
Brendan.
or-
I'm
sorry.
Brendan Najam, and I'm the candidate for the 2-year council position.
And remember, for the 4-year council position, you vote for 2 people. So you can vote for Sue and for Jeff. And then we also have a candidate who was not able to make it tonight for the highway superintendent, Brian Adams. So we will all be on the Republican, the Independence Party, and the Green line. And anybody can vote for us on any line they want. What matters is voting for the person. So thank you very much. I think we're just about done.
Thanks for inviting us into your homes and having us. It's been a real pleasure doing all these Facebook Lives. We all had an opportunity to be with Gary before, and this was a great conclusion to the series.
Thank you for your time, and if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact me, whether it be by phone, email, or Facebook.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.